Can you fully belong to the Jewish tradition if your plate looks completely different? Hi, I'm Shira. I'm the Digital Community Manager at Jewish Vegan Life, and today I'll be sharing my Jewish vegan journey with you. I grew up in a Chabad home to Israeli parents in New York, and I started my vegan-vegetarian journey when I was around 12. First, my mother became vegetarian, and she told me how much animals are suffering, and then I decided to go vegetarian. And then a year or so later, my mother became vegan, and I decided to go vegan after she told me how animals are really suffering also in the dairy and egg industry, and how it aligns with the values of tza'ar. So I grew up Chabad, and nearly all of my extended family are still Chabad today, and a big part of Chabad culture is singing Niggunim.
Oh, yo, 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 yo.
Niggunim are melodies that are sung in between usually courses, Shabbat, or during the day, and it's a really huge aspect of Chabad, singing these melodies. I grew up with the men singing them at the table, and from that my love for music really developed. So although I grew up in a Chabad environment, I was really around different Jewish communities. I moved around in New York from Brooklyn in the Chabad hub in Crown Heights to Queens, Westchester, Albany, and I was a part of different Jewish communities later on. I grew up also with Israeli parents, and I went to Jewish school my whole life, so I always had to take Hebrew classes even though I spoke it natively from home. So I had like Hebrew homework that I did, and I was always in the advanced Hebrew classes thanks to my Israeli parents that spoke with me in Hebrew at home, and we would go to the Israeli day parades in New York. So that was quite an experience growing up in Jewish day schools, and Jewish and Israeli culture instilled in me since I was little. After when we moved from Brooklyn to Queens and Westchester and Albany, I was a part of also reform communities, conservative communities, conservative synagogues. It was my first time hearing music played on Shabbat, like with instruments in a reform and conservative synagogue, and it was a very different experience and very different type of music. So it was very interesting to experience that in reform and conservative synagogues. I also was in modern Orthodox schools like middle school. So growing up, food was really the center. When you grow up Jewish, food is a huge thing. Like during the holidays, we have so many holidays, and every single week on Shabbat. So food just takes the star a lot of aspects. And I grew up not vegan. Slowly over time I transitioned vegetarian and then vegan, and my mother would cook a lot of vegetarian and vegan meals when she became vegetarian vegan, and then I got like really into cooking even more, and I was always finding different creative recipes and alternatives. At first I went vegan cold turkey, for lack of better words. I went overnight and I did my research online after my mother told me about tza'ar chayim, like how much the animals are really suffering. So I did a lot of research online and YouTube videos, different things like that. And then I decided overnight, cold turkey literally, to go vegan. I think it was much easier for me to have another family member that already went vegan and really supportive of my decision, and that the house became a vegan household, even though my brother was not vegan, but my mother told him that he could bring in any food that he wants or cook whatever he wants, but that we would be cooking fully vegan. I think what made me go vegan, other than my mother telling me about tza'ar chayim, actually when she told me about tza'ar chayim, I really connected because I'm a very sensitive person. When I see that other beings are being harmed, it really touches my heart, and I just felt it really aligned with my moral values, and that was the primary reason I went vegan. And after that, for environmental and health reasons. At first, when I became vegan, I ate a lot of junk food and I tried a lot of alternatives. I'm sure like many other vegans have. Let me know if when you became vegan, did you eat a lot of junk food right away, or did you go like whole foods, plant-based, or a different type of diet like raw tofu, and you went totally for health reasons and on the health side and limited the amount of alternatives that you ate? Let me know in the comments below. So when we had many guests for Shabbat. Shabbat preparation is like a whole thing in the Chabad community. You spend usually Thursday night, even earlier, starting to cook, and then you cook all the way until the Shabbat comes in. It's a really it could be chaotic environment where you're getting everything ready for Shabbat on time. My mother loved to invite people Shabbat and for the holidays, and she would decorate the tables in these very specific themes and different colors, and she would get very creative with it, and she would have 3 different types of ice creams for dessert and 20 different salads and a bunch of different main meals. And it was a whole food and immersive community experience. And I, of course, early on was very involved with the cooking and preparations and helping her out when I was, when I was little, when I was 10 years old, 8 years old, starting even then. And so that was my experience with food and growing up in the Chabad world. There were plenty of vegan options when I lived in New York. When I moved to Israel in October 2022, I was even more surprised how vegan friendly Israel is and how tasty the food is. Hummus in New York does not compare to hummus in Israel at all. It's on a different level, unless you make it homemade. I moved to Israel in October 2022. Usually family from Israel would come to New York to visit, the Rebbe, the Oil, some of them. And so I would meet up with them, but I didn't really know my extended family as much. Since I moved here, I'm much closer to them and I'm able to visit them a lot more. Every once or so in a while, I still go into the Chabad world in a sense, where on Shabbat we have all these Niggunim, these wonderful Chabad melodies, and I get to enjoy family time, my Chabad family. And so when I came to Israel, my grandma knew that I was vegan, and she was really accommodating and understanding. It was very easy for her to understand what's vegan. She didn't make any mistakes in that sense, and she would make for me special meals, which was very nice of her when I came to visit her, and when I still do come to visit her, as well as when I go to family for Shabbat. I usually have vegan challah. It depends. By the way, most bakeries nowadays do not put egg wash on their challah because it's more expensive for them, so it's worth checking. And because I'm vegan, so my family members a lot of time ask me about being vegan and the Torah, and even mention to me something like Rav Kook and different aspects related to Judaism and veganism. And we got into different discussions and even debates about different topics. So I'm vegan around for 11 years now, something like that. Since I moved to Israel, I met my Jewish vegan partner. We're together for around 1.5 years now. My partner is a Yemenite Jew, and throughout our relationship, I explored Yemenite Jewish food. By the way, if you didn't know, a lot of Yemenite Jewish food is naturally vegan. So I started implementing more spicy food in my life, like schug. There's 2 types of Yemenite schug. There's red and green. The red is a lot more spicy than the green. I think I tasted maybe 1 time the red schug, but the green is spicy enough for me. I really love it. The other types of food, this is just a condiment in the Yemenite Jewish food space, and the whole Yemenite kitchen, it has a lot of different foods, but the main focus is on different types of breads. So there's lachuch, there's jachnun. Jachnun is the most well-known one. Maybe you already know about it. And there's kubane, there's sabaye, and there's also different bean dishes like lassis, which is a mixture of beans. Most Yemenite Jewish food is quite simple in ingredients wise, not in preparation wise. In preparation wise, all these different breads take a lot of time to do. You need a lot of strength, in your arms. What I found interesting, I joined a lot of Shabbat dinners with my partner's Yemenite family, and very different with the type of nosach that you use for kiddush and for all the blessings and different aspects like that. It sounds very different. It's very cool. It's like in Yemenite Arabic or Judeo-Arabic. And so I experienced different traditions Yemenite way rather than what I'm used to in the Chabad way. And so even Passover, I was by my partner's family for Passover, and they have a different type of matzah that's a lot thicker. And so I tasted that, and it tastes a lot better than regular or shmura matzah. So that was quite an interesting experience. Also, their prayers are much shorter than Chabad prayers. And there's different types of singing as well. In Yemenite food traditions, there's not so much to replace to make it vegan. A lot of the breads are already vegan. There's also a few different things that Yemenite foods that I didn't taste yet that I'm looking forward to taste, like damul, which is also a type of a bread. It's a type of bun that is like it's kind of shaped like a cinnamon roll, but it's savory. And it's sprinkled with nigella, which is a specific type of seed. It looks black. So that was an ingredient that was also new to when I was introduced to the Yemenite kitchen. One experience that was very unique to me was when I learned how to make lachuch from my partner and his father. They taught me how to make it. So it was a very interesting experience to see how it's made and also learn how much time and effort and how fast you need to be with the dough when it's on the pan and everything. So when you're making lachuch, the pan always has to be cold. Otherwise, it's not going to come out correctly and everything will stick to the pan. So what you do is after you're done making one lachuch, one piece of the bread, you take the pan and you dip it in the water and then you put it back on the stove. So it's cool. So I got to do that and learn about that experience and have this cool experience of making lachuch with my partner and his father. You can eat lachuch with you can make it sweet with chocolate spread, like chocolate de shachar. I would eat it like that, which is also really good. It's like how Israelis eat pita im chocolate, like pita with chocolate. So it's the same type of concept, just lachuch. Or you could put like hummus and zchug in it on Yom Ha'atzmaut that I was with my partner and his family. Have you ever experienced a different Jewish culture than yours? Let me know your story down below. So when I moved to Israel, I decided to pursue my bachelor's degree in marketing. And I met some awesome people throughout my experience over here. I met some other vegans at Reichman University and also outside of Reichman University. And I would join many vegan events to meet other Jewish vegans and learn about their experience and to socialize. Through my experience on campus, I also met my music producer. And I started my music journey. At first, it started that I was a social media manager for the music club. And then I started singing more and playing music. I started getting even more involved in music other than Niggunim. Growing up with Niggunim, I started to learn guitar when I was 12 years old. And I played a Shlomo Alzi song at my bat mitzvah. And then I started to sing more. And so when I came to Israel, I was kind of on and off with my music, with playing guitar and singing. And then I suddenly had this wonderful community of people that gathered every week to perform and listen to each other singing and playing. And it was a lot of fun. I built up confidence to decide that I wanted to start a music journey in which I would be an artist and sing. And so I've released one song so far about my uncertainty in life at the time, with where my life was going and as a person. And it's a whole journey in your early 20s. And I decided to do a student exchange in France. I was there for a whole semester after I finished my degree. Throughout that semester, I wrote more songs in France that I did not release yet, but will in the future. I released C'est ma vie, my original single, that is in English and in French. I speak French at a B1 between B2 level, and that's my first song that came out. And then I did a remix, a collaboration with a rapper, and it brings a different international perspective to the song. So I released the remix a little bit after I came back from France, and then I performed it at a Polybar in Tel Aviv and also at the music club, and it was a great experience to have achieved a childhood dream. But yeah, all this started from, now that I realize it, from just growing up in Chabad with the Niggunim and music. And Chabad is one of the sects of Judaism that has a lot in music. Like every single meal you have, there's always a reason to have like itvadut of upbringing. It's like a celebration and to like sing and eat and drink. It's a whole big aspect in Chabad that I find very beautiful and that still sticks with me till this day with my music journey and just being with family and hearing the Niggunim and singing. So now, after reviewing all these different chapters in my Jewish vegan life, what stands out to me is that although there's different Jewish communities and different ways of living and doing things, food and Judaism are very intertwined. It's a big part of Jewish culture. It's not just how I eat, but how I connect to people and tradition, and I could still keep traditions and be true to my vegan values, as well as these vegan values are in the Torah. Everybody has their different opinions on what they see is true and right for them. And I think that's what's beautiful about Judaism and in veganism, because there's also different, as you could say, sects in veganism. There's raw vegan, raw tofu, whole foods, plant-based. There's junk food vegan. There's like different, I guess you could call it sects as well, the same community and with the same core values. So being vegan and Jewish for me wasn't about like stepping away from tradition. It was more about trying to figure out how to stay connected to in a way that I felt was also aligned in how I see the world. So this is my story. Chabad Judaism in New York, to becoming vegetarian at 12 and then becoming vegan at around 13, 14, and then to moving here in Israel and experience vegan and Jewish culture differently. And so tell me, where does Jewish food and your values intersect or clash in your life? I would love to hear in the comments down below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like these type of videos, and we'll be featuring more people from the Jewish vegan community and their stories.